This is Gilles Mention. I wanted to come and say hello. I am guided to come and speak about those things, those spiritual ideas for all those who are interested in such things. For there is a great deal of evolution and a lot of things are coming into the forefront of consciousness. Of course, it is clear that the dark and the black and white nature, the conflict, the wars, all of this is intensifying because it needs to be expurged from the program. Right now, there is the very impulsive and proactive Mars that is conjuncting with Saturn, which is like, whoa, wait and be patient, structure things, deal with things. While at the same time, Chiron is moving from Pisces into Aries. It's going to be dancing the whole year. It will go back retrograde into Pisces, but at the beginning of next year, January 2019, it will move definitely forward into Aries. So we'll be moving all the benefits of the healing that we got during the Pisces time of Chiron transforming Pisces. We'll be able to move into the fire of creative Aries, and in the same time, he will catch up eventually to Uranus, which is the awakener, which is now moving from Aries into Taurus. He will feel more grounded for us. He will, the awakening will move into the physical plane, not just into the fire of Aries, but more in the physicality of Taurus. And Chiron is a very beautiful planet. I recommend you call on Chiron. For it is Saturn takes about 30 years to complete its orbit, and Chiron is a son of Saturn. It is connected to that great consciousness that is Saturn, and he comes inside the orbit of Saturn, and he goes outside of the orbit of Uranus. But it takes 51 years for it to go all the way around, when Uranus will take over 80 years to go around it. So it shows you how fast accelerated it has a very subtle orbit. That's not quite understood, but it is a subtle orbit. It is not disturbed. It cannot be disturbed by anything. Like we're not yet in the subtle planes, but there are planets in the solar system that have achieved the spiritual connection where no accident can ever happen. It is stabilized, settled in light and life. And so there are many planets such as those. I wanted to put out a few cards for some guidance for the day. Now I'm going to briefly talk about astrology and some spiritual concept as well. So for us today, the highest wisdom is life purpose. What is our life purpose? Where do we find the greatest joy? What talent do we need to exploit? What creative outlet? What makes us fulfill? What makes us feel good? And what we need to understand is a master guide, is how to connect to our master guide. For our master guide holds the highest frequency for us during this lifetime. And so it is important to know that guides are benevolent. They're never in judgment. They're always in support. They're always offering. They have great guidance and wisdom to share. So it is good to listen to what your guides are communicating with you through intuitive principle or dreams or meditation or insight or synchronicity or whichever way you communicate with your guides. And what we need to do is direction. It is staying on the course, staying focused on the north, trying to eliminate not to eliminate, but to purge out all those things that prevents us from seeing a clear path into the light. And the general message for us today is this beautiful card of resource. Resource is always good. We need to have abundant love. We need to have abundant freedom, but we also need to have abundance in order to be free in the material world. We have to have also an abundance of money. So we want to attract this flow of abundance to know that it is all about sharing this infinite reality, and we're all part of that. We're all connected to that. I was briefly talking about this idea that we live in a world that is a holographic matrix, like the Plato saying, it's all made of shadows, and even Todd, the master of wisdom, says he's been told from one of the master of the cycles that all that he knows is just as form only to his eyes. So it's not all that we know is only energy that's been manipulated by the gods in order to serve the collective evolution. It's one eternal source that unfolds through times. Yet this world of matter is not an illusion in the sense that it belongs to a divine matrix. It all belongs to God. God keeps all in frequency, in vibration. Every atom, every particle, every galaxy, every star, every being, every heart, everything is being held in frequency. And so to be able to realize that is already a great step, to know that we owe our life to this great God. And as we connect to that source, we are able we are able to free ourselves from many limitations. So the world is not an illusion, but what we believe, it is our belief that makes it unreal. It is what we project into the world that we eternally mirror back to us. For, in essence, from the God self, God knows that you are just God experiencing itself on some lower cycle that will return to that God self eventually, for that is part of the DNA. There is this code source that will call you, to call all beings when they're ready to return to the source, to return to this eternal sphere of consciousness. We have to understand that God understands us better than we do. He knows us better than we do, and He loves us unconditionally no matter what we do, otherwise we wouldn't exist. Once we realize that, we can move into a sphere of total bliss, total joy, total acceptance of life as it presents itself. So I hope you cultivate those ideas, and you allow this great love that comes from the heart to overwhelm, to overtake all programs, and to lead our life. This love light of source is more powerful than anything. It is the outcome of all discovery, all knowledge are part of that. So it is already within each and every one of us. So that is the great mystery. How do we go about finding this point of presence, this point of freedom? And for that we need to know ourselves. So in many sense we are more than our astrology, yet astrology is a very potent and powerful way to understand the physical filter of your life in this incarnation. For when we were born, those planets are imprinted us on some level, on some deep level, and so we are conditioned by those higher consciousness to see life and perceive life as we are today in this incarnation. Yet we can transcend, once we transcend all of the 12 constellation aspect and learning lessons, we can move beyond that astrology. We're no longer conditioned, and the planets become within the oneness of all. They become great assistants, source of empowerment, and they're always in communication, in assistance on some level. So we can call on the planets. They are imbued with life and energy and consciousness. And for me, so this is a bit narcissistic. It's a painting that's in progress. I haven't resolved the top, or even there may be some color change and all kinds of detail change. But this is just to show it's a self-portrait, astrological self-portrait. This should be my face here. But so just to show that I selected about 200 planets now in these paintings, and but there are thousands and thousands more, and so just to show that we all have many planets in every constellation, even if from the 10 major standpoint aspect we may be lacking in some level. Sometimes it is compensated by small planets that we don't even know about. In many sense, we are moving from astrology shows us a general aspect for when the planets are in a certain constellation. They have specific impact in relation to that constellation, 12 constellation or 13 if we count Ophiuchus. But in many sense, if you want to understand life on a personal level, you have to look at it from the house perspective. I mean, starting with your ascendant and then moving second house from there and following the scales. For me, I am Pisces, ascendant Pisces, so what you see is what you get in many sense, and then I have all those planets. But in many sense, they're very useful in connecting to higher intelligence, the world of symbol. Of course, the true light of God transcends all symbols. This is beyond logos, symbols. But the way to that spirituality is very well conditioned by our ability to connect to the world of symbols. There was a book named The Très Sainte Trinosophie, it was supposedly written by Saint Germain, but I think it was one of his disciples called Cagliostro. It is very funny. It starts he's in a jail from the Inquisition, and he said, well, I'm going to teach you freedom. And it's all about symbols and how we can liberate ourselves no matter what the physical condition. It's called the Très Sainte Trinosophie. It was the Holy Trinosophy in English. You might find it on YouTube. So I wanted to finish by just talking about a more spiritual thing. In many sense, we know the personal. We do not know what personality is. For that is one of the universal mystery. We just know that we are personal beings and we are unique in that sense. But there are impersonal realities as well. When God has created, there's a story of creation. When God has created, at some point, God became a person. He becomes the father of the eternal Son, and on paradise being an infinite sphere of reality that's impersonal, and the eternal Son is being an infinite spirit personality. And the dynamic between the personal and the impersonal manifested, eventuated the presence of the third being, the infinite spirit, the third of the Godhead, who created, who is the God of action, the infinite mind, minister of God, that put into place, into action, like the plans that it can comprehend. That, of course, the infinite spirit knows all about the Father and the Son, but he put the plan in motion and activated the celestial mechanism for the cosmos to come. So, in many sense, and so there is we know the personal and we know the impersonal, but what we do not know is the pre-personal and the super-personal. For God fractioned himself as a pre-personal being, and that's how those I am presence, those great spirit presence that are completely discrete within each and every one of us, but are the beholder of eternal consciousness, supreme, ultimate, absolute consciousness. They are eternal gift of God, but they will not never force themselves. It is only when you're ready to tune into that frequency, to that spirit, there will be a process that will be engaged, that will continue for the rest of your life in the integration of that I am presence. And then there is a super personal being. I cannot tell you much about it, for I have no clue really. I know they exist on Paradise. They are on the shiny orbs of the sun. There is super personal beings, and even on the universe they could be detected, but it's completely impossible as a personal being for now for me to communicate with a super personal being. I have not yet mastered that. For there are 7 great aspects of divinity. We live in the seventh super universe, 7th aspect, and mainly what we are learning is patience in order to ascend. Something I'm lacking, and that's what I'm learning. That's why I chose this super universe as my final. It is also the most difficult and the less evolved of the 7 super universe. It is where all the balance of all 3 deity needs to be balanced. For now, we need to once we get to move into a contemplative state for life to, like in the Tao, to reveal itself to us. For those things cannot be imagined or understood truly through the rational mind. Yet the book of Urantia reveals a lot of that program. For right now, we are children of the earth. We are made of the light of the sun that is being translated into the field of love of the earth and makes this physical existence. For we owe everything to the earth and the sun. But in many sense, as we ascend into the light, we become, there is a Father, Mother, God. We become integrated within the divine aspect of the divine masculine and divine feminine. Then we ascend into the super universe spirit preparation, and then we eventually move into we graduate and ascend into the super universe, the central universe of perfection, the Havana world. We're gonna spend an eternity moving from 1 billion planets, have a billion incarnations during this world, and eventually we will awaken as an eternal being on Paradise. For if we were transported to Paradise without that sleep slender phase, we would be temporal being projected in an eternal sphere. We would not be able to feel and know this eternal connection to that Isle of Light. And so in many sense, the path of all beings that were created in the universe, and within the DNA, there is those code source that will eventually call us to seek out the return. Lao Tzu in the Tao explains that very well. If you care to, it's a really wise book. It's very, it says that the separation implies the return. And so, and a lot in philosophy. So as we move beyond that, we become children of the Supreme. We become we become one with the one that is all. The Supreme is the Lord of time and space. He will eventually become, he will eventually manifest, come out of Paradise when all of time and space will have fulfilled its function. And then for the destiny of human beings is to achieve that, to return to Paradise, and then to be moved into, to be assigned into the corpse of finality, the Paradise corpse of finality, to explore the six other aspects of divinity that is expressed in the cosmos through the 6 other super universe. I've seen the finalitas as well. I detected their presence. They're wonderful beings. They are beings that came from the material universe that achieved Paradise and have been sent back into to participate in cosmos evolution on some other level. And so there are many other spirits that I've been able to detect and sense their presence. And so there's great mysteries in relationship to how life is being revealed. for eventually we'll be strike out of those ranks of finaliters, because we come from a planet that has been in quarantine, and so we are going to be trinitized, which is even a wonderful destiny. It is we're going to be final being, completed being. We'll be the mighty messengers, those high in authority, and those without name and number, which means mastering personal wisdom. If we have mastered administrative wisdom, or if we have mastered the worship, adoration of God, which so we're going to be. Yet there may be even also ways higher. There is no higher or lower, but there is a higher different. There is all kinds of destiny, yet the destiny all converge through the discovery of God as the supreme. Once we do that, then we can launch ourselves with us through the finaliter. We find absolutization, we become transcendental beings. Then we look for God on the ultimate level. For that. That will only be something that will be possible to discover God as the ultimate. We're not limited by time and space, but we have to master time and space before we can seek out God on the fourth transcendental level, before we can even imagine it as or discover it as the ultimate. Of course, when we find the supreme, we discover the universal father. So we suspect when we discover the ultimate, we'll find the universal father, and then eventually at the end of the end, we might find God as an absolute, and then we'll find again the universal father. So in many sense, I wanted to speak also about those beings that are issued from the Trinity, the divine counselors. There are 7 different orders of counselors, the perfecters of wisdom, and the universal senses. Those are beings I work with. They are invisible, they are paradise beings, they are perfect beings. If you ask for a perfecter of wisdom to show you the wisdom in any situation, wait and you will see. They will come and assist, show you whatever wisdom. For the perfecter of wisdom are not the representation of the wisdom of deity, they are the personified wisdom of deity in the service to life. So do call on them, do call on spirit, do call on your guides, on your master guides, on your angels, on any spirits in the universe. We'll be happy to work with you, and I hope you continue to enjoy that connection, for it is growing. Sometimes it's good to relax and let go, and sometimes it is good to integrate, and so it is all about filling out whatever feels good in the right moment. For there is no rule, there is no. The only law is that the law is. So the law is, you are part of the law, and so you align yourself with this divine order, and then from there you follow that. The card of the day for us, I wanted to see what the archangels, those great teachers from the local universe, would teach us today. Today it is Raphael that we send greetings and blessing, and we thank him for the love of this pure emerald light that he may give us. It says, look for different possibility. Look into the magical side of life. Become aware of your emotion, for we are creator. We have to move into the assurance that whatever we ask life will provide. The only thing that prevents us from providing immediately is our belief, or in a higher plane, no beings just. Whenever there is a thought, there is a manifestation. So the delay in manifestation is because we need to purify our soul, so we are clear in relation to what we want, and then once we ask what we want, we know we will receive it, because it is just the way life is. Well, thank you very much. I hope this message was interesting for you. I wish you a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.